Welcome to my journey, 80 Farm to Habitat. It's early May 2025. We're at the northeast corner of the South 40. Those tubes, trees were planted in 2020 here, and they've not done very well. For some reason the soil just don't do well. There's some conifers planted in there too that haven't done very well either. This has been the area with the poorest results for growing trees. Everywhere else has been very good to excellent. Now we're coming up to the ditch that enters the South 40. Drainage ditch that enters the South 40 from the north. Right there you'll see my shed, and you can't, maybe we can see it pull up a little bit further. There's my water tank. These trees were planted in 2023 and 2024. The first 5 rows were 2023 and the next 2 were 2024. And actually the first 2 rows had to be replanted last year because the Soil and Water Conservation District froze the trees and they never survived. Along the road is some switchgrass is growing. It held up pretty good all winter. Provides good cover for the wildlife, screening it from the road. There's the pheasant running out there, the rooster. This is what I call the road stand on the South 40. Coming up. Over the 2 years, haven't got any deer out of it, but the deer like the area. These next trees and the tubes you see out there were planted in 2024. Mostly maple and cherry, some black cherry, and there's probably a dozen or so conifers mixed in there. Now we're coming up on the pine trees. Interesting how I believe the greenest ones are all white pines, and the ones with some discoloration are red pines. Red pines have been having some issues out there, so they're not doing too well. They were probably planted about 18 years ago. These trees here right along the road were planted last year, mostly cottonwood and poplar. A few box elder mixed in there. And the next batch of trees you see out there, those were planted in 2023. A little lower soil out there, so with the low water conditions in 2023, they seem to survive pretty well. Maple, cherry, crabapple. We're about the halfway point of the South 40. Cattail swamp, good winter cover for the pheasants and the deer a little bit. They don't end up dead here much in the winter, but the pheasants sure like this cover. Here's what I consider the southwest stand in the back there. That'll have to be moved someday for way easier access. Just on the other side of these trees is a food plot that the pheasants were in thick all winter from the soybeans planted there. Then along here there's 7 rows of trees. First 5 were planted, the first 3 were planted in 2020, and a couple rows, 3 rows were planted in 2023, and 1 row in 2024. This first row here, I've removed all the tree tubes just a couple weeks ago. These are mostly plum and crab apple, so I'm going to see how they do now without the tree tubes on. They should be blooming this year, and we're lucky they'll start producing some fruit. Then after that, there's a couple rows of conifers that have been very slow to grow, and then aspen, birch that have been slow to grow, and the last 2 rows of tree tubes are red oak, bur oak, and some maple and silver. So now we're coming up on the northwest corner of the South 40. There's 6 tree rows here. 3 of them were planted in 2020. Shrub row along the very edge that hasn't done much, and then the second row there, you can see I removed the tubes. Those are again primary plum and crab apple. A few pussy willow mixed in there, and then after that it's conifers, white pine, and some Norway spruce. The white pine are doing well, the Norway spruce not so well. Now we're halfway south on the east, or the west edge of the South 40. West edge of the South 40. And I've planted trees in the prior years out here without tubes, and very few have survived and grown. So last year I planted 20 down here and put tubes on half of them, so we'll see how the tube thing goes. I can see some of the ones with the tubes. There's actually a tree coming out of, so the tubes are the way to go. Thank you for joining me on my journey. This is the southwest corner of the South 40.